The month of March is a time to recognize the achievements of women around the world as part of International Women's Month. That includes the achievements of women at OSF St. Anthony Medical Center in Rockford. More than 1,500 of its mission partners are female, as well as several of its leadership roles, including the president and chief marketing officer. Stacy Van Vliet is the director of trauma, burn, and general surgery at St. Anthony. She says since she started at OSF, her career has grown immensely.
I'm an assistant professor at the St. Anthony College of Nursing, so I'm very passionate about growing new nurses, new NPs, to get them really established into the medical field, and a majority of them are female. So it's great to work with them, to empower them, to see them grow.